Hi guys. So the question is, are we now officially in the buyer's market? I came across this article on realestate.com that says sell now or lose more. And as I read through this, it just became clear that auction clearance rates have reduced or dropped over time or year over year. And this is a clear indication. You can see it says the worst auction clearance rate since spring of 2024. And I said, let me get into the data just to understand how this works. I also saw this article as well, this other article from realestate.com saying there are a lot of people abandoning or leaving property auctions, and there could be any sort of reasons for that. But if you delve deeper to understand the data on the domain website, it clearly shows you the clearance rates. So, for example, we can see for April the 5th to the 11th, the clearance rate was 53%, basically in Melbourne. We can hover to say example Sydney was 54, and the same time last year was 63% in Sydney. And for Melbourne, the same time last year was 62%. So from 62 to 53%. And if you go to example Brisbane, we can see it's 44%. Brisbane is, you can say there was a slight improvement in Brisbane, but compared to Melbourne and Sydney, the major markets, the clearance rates have dropped a lot drastically. And let's dig deeper. If you look at the number of auctions scheduled for this year is 826. Um, and you can see the number one that passed in with 228. So there are a couple of them withdrawn. So overall, you can ask yourself, like, is this a pattern? Is it a one-off? So let's see if we change this to the latest, which is just last week. The clearance rate improved to 55%. Okay. Um, Now it's slightly improved when you compare the high 60 or the mid 60% last year to this year, then you know there's a bit of a drop. Let's try a different date. Let's say if you go for the 22nd of March to the 28th of March. So you can see it's 56% compared to 63% the same time last year. So overall, there is a massive drop. You would say it might be marginal, but I think is a strong drop in auctions. So if we look at all of these, you ask yourself, are we officially in the buyer's market? Or is it just an issue of the issues in the world, like the wars and the inflations and the impending or the possible hike in rates, or just a normal issue or something that no one needs to be worried about. But when a top website like the realestate.com is saying maybe it's time to sell or you lose more. Sell now or lose more. So for vendors, is it a call to sell now? Else you lose more if you wait for a couple of months' time. And for buyers, is this a good sign to say we're maybe in a buyer's market and that buyers should not feel like they have to exceed their budget and then they can not allow the FOMO or the fear of losing out to rush into a decision? So it's interesting, but I think the drop in the clearance rates is a clear indication that the buyers might have an edge, a slight edge, and that it could be down to more available properties in the market, maybe less buyers or buyers less, maybe you could say more cautious buyers, or just the general economy of the world that might not really make buyers feel confident enough to make purchases at this point in time. But I would say, are we officially in the buyer's market? What do you think? What are your thoughts? Feel free to share and leave comments of your thoughts if you think we're officially in the buyer's market. But these numbers are quite clear indication that the clearance rates have dropped. Thank you so much for your time. Until next time, take care. Bye.